Powell's Predicaments, Navigating the Federal Reserve's Economic Symphony. Hey there, folks. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're delving deep into the intricate web of finance, unwrapping Powell's Predicaments, and taking a look at how the Federal Reserve shapes the economic destiny of the United States. Grab your favorite snack, hit that subscribe button, and let's embark on this journey together. Left to their own devices, free market economies can be a bit wild, driven by fear and greed during unstable times. But hey, we're in the 21st century, and governments aren't just sitting back. They're using tools to smooth out the economic roller coaster. Enter the Federal Reserve, or as we like to call it, the Fed. The Fed's mission? To keep the U.S. economy stable and growing. How do they do it? Well, stick around as we unpack their arsenal of tools, starting with the OG manipulating interest rate. Tool number 1, manipulating interest rates. Picture this: the Fed holds the ultimate joystick, capable of raising or lowering interest rates. This is their first tool, and it's a game changer. When they lower interest rates, it's like giving a green light to spending. Borrowing money becomes cheaper, and suddenly, individuals and corporations are eager to splash the cash. But hold on, there's a catch. Lower interest rates can also fan the flames of inflation. Too much money circulating for too few goods can send prices skyrocketing. So, the Fed must tread carefully, finding that delicate balance between stimulating spending and avoiding the inflationary inferno. Adjusting interest rates is like a delicate dance. It stimulates economic activity, but too much of a good thing can lead to unwanted consequences. It's a balancing act that the Fed must master, and let's be honest, it's easier said than done. But hey, imperfect monetary policy is better than no action at all. Tool number 2, open market operations, OMO. Now imagine the Fed as a financial wizard with the power to buy or sell treasury bonds in the open market. That's OMO, a tool that's like a behind-the-scenes dance that can sway both money supply and interest rates. Here's the lowdown. If the Fed buys bonds, it's like injecting cash into the economy. They're saying, hey, take this cash and we'll take those bonds off your hands. Money supply goes up, and it can give the economy a boost. On the flip side, if the Fed decides to sell bonds, it's pulling cash out of the economy, and money supply decreases. But here's the kicker: OMO also plays with interest rates. When the Fed buys bonds, prices go up, and interest rates drop. Sell those bonds, and prices fall, causing interest rates to rise. It's like a financial seesaw. However, OMO is not a one-size-fits-all tool. The U.S. Treasury bond market is colossal, and OMO can be applied to bonds of all maturities. It's like fine-tuning an orchestra to hit the right notes in the economic symphony. Tool number 3, reserve requirements. Now let's talk about something a bit more technical: reserve requirements. The Fed can adjust these requirements, determining how much cash banks need to keep in reserves compared to their deposit liabilities. Picture this: the required reserve ratio is like a financial diet plan for banks. If it's 5% and a bank gets a $500 deposit, it can lend out $475 because it only needs to keep $25, 5%, in reserve. Adjusting this ratio lets the Fed control the lending capacity of banks. If they increase the reserve requirement, banks have less to lend, and vice versa. Tool number 4, influencing market perceptions. Alright, imagine the Fed as a master puppeteer, pulling the strings behind the scenes with strategic public announcements. It's like a Jedi mind trick in the financial world, shaping how investors see things. For example, the Fed might say, hey, the economy is growing too fast, and we're worried about inflation. Now, if investors buy into this, they might start selling bonds in anticipation of an interest rate hike. The result? Bond prices drop and interest rates shoot up, all without the Fed lifting a finger. It's a subtle yet powerful way to influence the financial landscape. But let's be real. Influencing market perceptions isn't a walk in the park. Investors are savvy and don't always take everything at face value. However, if you keep an eye on the bond markets, you'll notice they tend to move in sync with the Fed's guidance. The credit market quake. Picture this: 2007 and 2008, a time when the credit markets were experiencing seismic shifts. Interest rate hikes, coupled with the meltdown of subprime-backed collateralized debt obligations, CDOs, sent shockwaves through the financial landscape. Investors got a harsh reminder of the perils of credit risk, causing a ripple effect that tightened the total dollars lent by financial institutions, creating a crunch in the credit markets. Innovations to the rescue. Faced with this crisis, the Federal Reserve had to innovate, creating tools to minimize the impact on the broader economy. Enter the Term Auction Facility, TAF, and Term Securities Lending Facility, TSLF. 1. Term Auction Facility, TAF. The TAF was the Fed's response to the need for financial institutions to access Fed dollars anonymously. In a nutshell, it was a cash lifeline, allowing institutions to address short-term cash needs and provide capital for lending. But what set it apart was the anonymity factor. Unlike the discount window, where borrowing is public information, TAF allowed firms to bid on the interest rate they'd pay to borrow cash without revealing their financial struggles publicly. A silent auction for financial stability. 2. Term Securities Lending Facility, TSLF. To combat balance sheet concerns stemming from the plummeting values of mortgage-backed CDOs, the Fed introduced the TSLF. This tool allowed institutions to swap out these risky assets for the safety of U.S. Treasuries. With falling CDO values threatening the solvency of financial institutions, the TSLF provided a lifeline. By exchanging depreciating CDOs for stable treasuries, balance sheet concerns were mitigated, preventing potential bankruptcies and maintaining confidence in the financial system. The Fed's strategic move in orchestrating the takeover of Bear Stearns in 2007 owed much to the effectiveness of the TSLF. Enter quantitative easing, QE. But sometimes even the most innovative tools aren't enough. When faced with a severe crisis, the Federal Reserve turns to quantitative easing, QE, the heavy artillery in their arsenal. Quantitative easing is a form of unconventional monetary policy, where a central bank purchases longer-term government securities or other types of securities from the open market. The goal? To increase the money supply, encourage lending and investment, and stimulate economic activity. When short-term interest rates are near zero, the usual tool of open market operations loses its effectiveness. So, QE steps in. The central bank buys securities, injecting new money into the economy. This action not only increases the money supply, but also lowers interest rates by driving up the prices of fixed-income securities. Additionally, it expands the central bank's balance sheet significantly. The extra mile, negative interest rate policy, NIRP. If QE doesn't cut it, some central banks take it a step further with negative interest rate policy, NIRP. This means setting target interest rates below zero, encouraging banks to lend rather than hoard cash. However, to date, the Fed has never taken this extreme measure. Following the 2008 financial crisis, and again in March 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic, to 0% to 0.25%. These unprecedented times called for extraordinary measures, and the Fed's toolkit evolved to meet the challenges head-on. Thanks for joining the ride through Powell's Predicaments. If you found this series intriguing, drop a like, share your thoughts below, and hit subscribe for more financial insights. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll catch you in the next one.